following is a presentation of the Treasure Island Baseball Network.
Plans and preparations for the 2023 season are underway for your Minnesota Twins. This is the show that catches up with players, staff, and the entire organization. It's Inside Twins. Inside Twins is sponsored by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated. It's how memories are created and legends are made.
This is Inside Twins. In fact, it's the final edition of Inside Twins here because we get actual baseball in the coming days. Grapefruit League action kicks off all across our network on Saturday. I will be there, weather permitting, but today we wrap up a final edition of our Hot Stove program here, Inside Twins, brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer. It is full of snow, gusty winds, blizzards, more blizzards coming here across Twins territory. We hope everybody is hunkered down and safe with their families. I know a lot of schools canceled today, businesses shut down. We hope wherever you are safe and taking care of yourself, staying off those slippery roads. And joining us across a variety of our Twins social media platforms here today, whether Facebook, whether YouTube, whether our Twitter page. And we invite your input today as we journey to a much warmer climate as we head down to Lee County Sports Complex in Fort Myers, Florida. It's Twin Spring Training, and Pablo López, kind enough to join us today straight off the field where it's been a little warmer today as the pitchers get a little work in. And then Pablo's got a busy day in Southwest Florida that we'll talk about in a bit. But Pablo, first and foremost, for many people who didn't get a chance to meet you or see you at Twins Fest, this is their introduction to one of the newest members of the club. You had your own introductions at spring training and at Twins Fest with a new club. Now, this is not the first time you've changed teams. You were traded as a minor leaguer. Is it a lot different, though, as an established major leaguer joining a new organization?
Yeah, I would say that it is definitely, it's an easier transition when you're in the big leagues. You know, a lot of things are different. A lot of things change when you make it to the big leagues. One of them is just the facilities that teams can provide you to help you make the transition any easier. And I'm not gonna get tired of saying this because it's true that I am extremely grateful how welcoming everyone's been. From the players to the coaching staff to the front office to the fans. Every fan interaction I had, Twins Fest, every fan interaction I have had down here in Fort Myers, it's been, extremely kind, extremely welcoming. Everyone's excited that I'm here, which makes me even more excited to be here. So it's been definitely, at the beginning, it was just, mixed feelings with the trade and all that because we do get attached to teams naturally. So, I think we can help or prevent that happening. But now I'm been here for a couple of weeks now. I've been at Twins for like 4 or 5 weeks. I'm just very happy to be here, very excited to get going. And I've heard many wonderful things about the Minnesota Twins fans, and I'm just looking forward to, show up to Minnesota and get going.
Baseball can be a pretty small world, and rumors of the Twins' interest in you date back to previous seasons. Were there folks in the clubhouse or in the organization that you had either played with before or had mutual associations with so that it wasn't like completely a new world for you walking in?
You know what? Only a handful of guys. I played with Emilio Pagan in Seattle. He was drafted. I think we were drafted the same year. We never played at the same level, but we always interacted, whether it was instructional league, minor league spring training camp, extended spring training camp. So he was one of those guys that I knew that I was going to, come back to and just catch up and all that. Other than that, not really. I remember facing Jorge López in the major leagues. One time he was pitching with the Royals. They came to Miami. I was the opposing pitcher, so I remember facing him.
Got Julian Lopez is now. Are you guys going to have to do the P Lopez and the J Lopez on the jersey?
Gosh, no, I don't. I don't like that. That's a very little league feeling. I remember Lopez is a very common last name, as we all know. So growing up in a handful of little league teams or tournaments, there was always another Lopez, and I was not a fan of the P. Lopez. So I think we're going to be Lopez. The funny thing is we're both 48 and 49, and our lockers are right next to each other, at least here for spring training. So I'm sure that gives them, like the clubhouse staff some issues sometimes maybe.
Now, Pablo, you grew up in Venezuela. The Venezuelan baseball community is very tight, and it's a beautiful world in terms of how much the country means to the players who are here in the United States when they're away. And it's also a very tight-knit group of players who've had maybe some similar experiences and made it to the major leagues. You're going to represent Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. You were traded for a fellow Venezuelan in Luis Ariz. Had you guys crossed paths before being swapped for one another? And what's it going to be like as a teammate of Luis in the WBC?
I don't know him personally. We did cross paths in the minor leagues. In 2016, we both played in the Midwest League. I played for the Clinton Lumber Kings while he was playing for the Cedar Rapids Cardinals. And I think he was also the batting champion that year. So obviously, he's always had those bat to ball skills, such great hand-eye coordination. So I don't know him personally. But like you mentioned, we're both going to be teammates for Team Venezuela for the WBC. And when the trade happens, you get to see it from both sides. And one of the things you would see about Luis is that not only a great player, but a great person. So that's always good. We spend so much time focusing on ourselves as players that sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we spend more time being people rather than players. So to know that Miami got such a great guy in return, and that guy's going to be my teammate for the tournament. It makes me really excited. Looking forward to that, and I know we're gonna have a lot of things to talk about. I'm gonna ask him what he thinks about the Marlins. I'm sure he's gonna ask me what I think about the Twins. So I'm looking forward for that interaction.
You played in Clinton, you mentioned, and a little sidebar here. Can you still smell that the smell of that factory that's right next to the ballpark in Clinton all these years later?
The dog food factory.
Yeah, it's
hard
legendary.
To forget.
It's legendary in minor league baseball.
It's hard to forget, yeah.
Yeah, that will stay with you. With the WBC, how does that change your spring training in terms of how much you throw, how often you throw? Has it affected you at all?
So spring training changes because you are expected to show up for the WBC, and whatever amount of pitches you're going to get, the intensity and adrenaline is going to be higher. You know that you're going to want to execute every single pitch with everything you have. And usually by that is usually not ready yet. So I took that into account for my off-season preparation. And I knew I had to push everything forward a couple weeks if I was going to ask myself to execute those kinds of pitches earlier than usual. So just to say something, let's say my usual day to start throwing baseballs in the offseason is December 1st. Well, guess what? This offseason had to be November 14th because I knew that before spring training, I was going to need to throw a certain amount of bullpens, even some live VPs before showing up to spring. Usually when you show up to spring, the first thing you do, you throw a couple bullpens and then you go to live. Well, the first thing I did this spring training was to throw live. I was already going to hitters, and I got myself ready for that because I also do not want to jeopardize the rest of the season. So I think I took the right approach. I took everything into account, and I developed a very detailed and thorough programming for my arm and my body. That way I can go and perform with everything I have, but at the same time, whenever we come back, hopefully after winning the whole thing, I hope then I'm not gonna come back, and my body's gonna be ready to function and respond to 162 games after that.
You also threw more innings last year, 180 and change, than you've ever thrown before. Did your body feel different at all when you went back to the mound this offseason?
You know what? It felt good. I remember the season was over. I hit 180 innings on the dot my last game, and I remember talking to the media after, and I was like, man, you know what? I wish we had more games coming. I wished we were in a position that we had more games scheduled because I was feeling that good. And, that makes me really happy because I did take my routine. I did take good care of my body in a way I'd never done before. And seeing the results made me really happy. And obviously, it's a never-ending cycle. You're always learning. You're always trying new things. But for the most part, I stuck to the same routine. But I'm always talking to the guys that have been doing this for a while, and if they have any little good information, good knowledge, good nugget that I can take, and give it a try, I'm gonna do that. But I was very proud of that accomplishment. 32 stars, 180 innings, and I'm looking forward to do that again this year, even more innings. Like when you hit that 200 inning threshold, that's a big deal, and that's always a goal. The goal is always to remain healthy, so you can give your team 30 plus starts, 200 plus innings. So that's where my mind is at. My mind is being part of one of the best, if not the best, rotation in baseball. Such good depth, good talent, and just take them out every 5 days and do that for 30 plus games and try to provide my team 200 plus quality innings. So that's where my mind is at, and that's what was on my mind throughout the whole off season.
Yeah, and Rocco has mentioned that last year the starters did not go deep for the Minnesota Twins, and he has kind of put that on you guys this year that he would like to get more out of his rotation. Just an example, you had 11 starts last year of more than 6 innings. The Twins only had 12 as a team. You had 8 starts of 7 innings or more. The Twins only had 10 as a team. Is that something as a group that you guys would like to be out there a little bit longer and tax that bullpen a little bit less?
100%. So we pitch every 5 days. So you take those 4 days to make sure that your body and your mind is ready to provide the team all the help they need. You want to take care of your guys in the bullpen. You want to go out there and try to give your guys in the bullpen those 6, 7, 8, some good days, 9 innings. You want to take care of those guys, but that's something that you have to earn. We have to show Rocco and the pitching staff and the coaches, pitching staff that we can go out there and we can navigate a line of 3-4 times through, because that's what it takes if you want to pitch deep into the games, that 7th, 8th inning. So we have to show the coaching staff that we are made to do that. And then, then they start giving you that confidence. They start giving you that trust that, okay, you know what, this guy's in the 7th inning. He's at 95 pitches, but I know he can get through this batter. I know he can get through these next couple outs. So I think that's something that you earn. But I think as a whole pitching staff, we've discussed that a bunch. And that's one of our goals. That's our mindset. Our mindset is just go out there, try to throw the first pitch of the game and the very last pitch of the game. You know what? And that makes the bullpen guys happy.
And more effective.
You want them to be happy. You want them to be on the bullpen, want them to be relaxed. And then, you know what? If they need to come down to the game and put down a fire, then they're going to do that for you. And they can do that better if they're well rested, if they know better that, no, you know what? Pablo, Sonny, Joe, Tyler today, they got 6, they got 7. There's, like when you start getting that confidence from the coaching staff and your bullpen teammates and all your teammates, it's a great feeling. So I think that's something we're looking to accomplish this year.
Very well said, and a great mindset. Pablo López, newest member of the Twins rotation. We'll take a break here on Inside Twins, come back and talk about what Pablo has on tap today after his workout, which just finished up. He and Tommy Watkins going to be part of something special in Southwest Florida. This is your home for Twins baseball.
No? That's okay. So we're on break? Okay.
Welcome back to Inside Twins. Inside Twins brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated. How memories are created and legends are made. It is cold and snowy, blizzard conditions and some storm warnings up here in Twins territory. It is a little bit warmer down in Southwest Florida. But Southwest Florida, Lee County, they've been dealing with the devastation of Hurricane Ian for a long time now. And today the Twins, including our guest Pablo López, are going to help do something about that along with the United Way. Pablo, you and Tommy Watkins will be part of a group that's going to be out at the processing center for the United Way, where items are distributed to the community, necessities for families to help get along. There'll be some gift cards donated as well. Tell us a little bit about how you and Tommy, who is from Fort Myers and knows the ins and outs of this community and is beloved there better than anybody, how you got involved.
Yeah, so obviously I spent my off seasons in Florida. I spent it on the East Coast of Miami. And then I remember when the whole hurricane thing was going down, even the East Coast of Florida was, we were just prepared. We were worried. And then seeing everything happening in the West Coast, in the Gulf Coast, it was just heartbreaking seeing that happening. And then I didn't really understand the magnitude of it all until I got traded. And I remember I went to like a luncheon at the stadium. And then I hear the president of team operations, Dave St. Peter, say how much they have to do to get the complex running. And that's when I really put it into perspective. I'm like, wait a minute, this is like bigger than I thought, bigger than I'm sure a lot of people thought. And then I came down here, and the moment I saw the sheet for this initiative today, I put my name right away. And then I talked to Watkins, and he told me he's from here, and he was just running me through some of the places he knew as a kid, just things like that, just things that you hear, and then you realize that there's so much going on out there that sometimes we just forget it, or we take a lot of things for granted. So I think just today is such a great event we're doing. I know the Twins, like earlier in December, did some donations, helped out with some cleaning. So I think just being involved with that today, just go out there and try to help as much as we can with donations, just letting people know, because we're part of the Lee County community. We're part of the Fort Myers community, to let them know that we have their back. Because, when we show up to spring training, everyone's so nice, so welcoming. So they let us know that they have our back. Then, so like, obviously the nicest thing to do, the right thing to do, is just to show them that we're there to take care of them as much as we can. So I'm really, it makes me really happy that the Twins, they take these things seriously, because, we can do so much. We have an amazing platform to go out there and help as many people as we can. So the fact that we take advantage of it makes me really, really, really happy. And just another thing of being a Twin that really excites me.
And Pablo, this isn't just words. This is kind of who you are. One of the first things you did when you were traded was contact the Twins Community Fund to find out how you could get involved. Where did that come from? I know you had a great relationship with your parents, who were both doctors when you were growing up. You were an outstanding high school student. You had a lot of options with what to do with your life. Where did this willingness and desire to serve and help others come from?
So I remember I always liked baseball since I was little. So there was a time I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and my dad told me, like, hey, there's a couple baseball players from one of the winter baseball teams in Venezuela, and they're just doing like a free clinic. And my dad took me to that, and I was just like, well, guys do that? Guys just show up to the, like the community, to, the outside world, and do these kinds of things. So that was like my first introduction. I'm like, this is so cool that guys do this. And then obviously going through the minor leagues, then you get a platform. It's not as big as when we're fortunate enough to be in the big leagues, but you start seeing the opportunities. And then I was just like, you know what, I want to let everyone know that I'm in their community, but I want to be involved in their community. So even in the minor leagues, every community event, community service, miracle league opportunity, I really try to take advantage of it. And it's just because I remember the impact that moment had in me. And it was something little. It was a small baseball clinic, but I always go back to that feeling of having someone that, someone might look at me as a role model, just the way I look at those winter ball players as role models. So just having the opportunity to go out there, give back, I think that's where real happiness comes from. It's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. So when we have this platform, just taking advantage of it, and you just this smallest detail, the slightest little thing can change someone's day, put a smile in their face, which would put a smile on my face. And I mean, that's always a good feeling to have.
That's a beautiful thing, Pablo, and a great way to go about your business and your life, and something a lot of people certainly could learn from. And the Twins territory is absolutely privileged to have you as part of it here and now, both in Southwest Florida and across the upper Midwest. We're going to take our final quick break. When we come back to Inside Twins, brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated, how memories are created and legends are made. Your questions for Pablo López right here on your home for Twins baseball. It's our final segment of Inside Twins. Pablo López joining us after doing some PFPs on the diamonds there in the sunshine of Southwest Florida. He's headed out with Tommy Watkins a little bit later to take part in this United Way initiative to help folks in Southwest Florida recover from the devastation of Hurricane Ian. Of course, spring training games begin on Saturday. We will be there and be on the air. Very excited about that. We're going to take your questions for Pablo. The first one comes from me, Pablo. I can't wait to see it up close and personal. Tell me about your changeup. Where did that come from? How did you develop it?
It came from throwing. It also came for the ability that I didn't have to spin a breaking ball. I think spinning the breaking ball always was a little more of a challenge to me, that changing speeds with that changeup. So it just came with, I had a really good pitching coach. I remember in the minor leagues that just like, you know what, coming up, I also had trouble spinning the baseball, so I had to rely on my changeup. So it was just about finding the right grip and then the right mentality you want to throw it with. You want it to look like a fastball, and if it isn't a fastball, the only thing that should change is your grip. Everything else stays fastball like. And then he gave me some really good pointers with it. You want to play catch with it because when you're playing catch when you're playing long toss is your truest delivery, because you're throwing 200 plus feet, 300 plus feet. That's your truest delivery to get it to that spot. And then if you do your truest delivery with a new pitch, I mean, that's the best way to develop it. And then I started seeing good results. Then I started seeing better results when I was throwing it to both righties and lefties. And then it became one of one of the things I have a lot of confidence on my arsenal.
That's well said, and a really interesting point on the truest delivery coming during long toss and the importance there of catch play. Let's hit some questions from folks tuning in. This is Super Trooper YT via YouTube. Again, know you're a fastball changeup guy. Do you have a third pitch now you've been working on? You talked about your early difficulty spinning the ball. Anything in the hopper?
The curveball. The curveball. I did find out I have some good abilities to spin the baseball, which is, it was a relief because, you're in the big leagues, you're facing the elite, everybody that stands in the batter's box. They're there for a reason. They have talent to put the ball in play, do some damage. So you do always want to have that third option. And mine's always been the breaking ball. And I've been working really hard on it, develop the good shape, the right amount of vertical break, horizontal break, the right spin efficiency. And then I think it's going to be the challenge from me to make that pitch a factor. How do you make it a factor? You have to throw it for a strike for hitters to respect it. If you don't show it for strikes, batters are just going to eliminate it and will bring you back, in my case, to them only mainly looking for that fastball changes. So just having another pitch to have in the mix is going to be important. And I've been working really hard all of season long. And, the time we've been here in camp, that's been one of my focuses.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, trying to get third, fourth time through a lineup, got to have another option. Always helps the more tools you have at your disposal. This is from Bryce via YouTube. Welcome to Minnesota. All the Marlins writers spoke highly of your character. How is your personality? And he describes it as laid back and optimistic. How has that helped you survive the ups and downs of life as a high-stress role as a big league pitcher?
I think the biggest thing is just it gives me composure when I'm on the mound. I'm not a huge emotions guy when I'm on the field. If I'm having a great game, I try not to show great emotions. If I'm having a bad game, I'm trying not to show bad emotions. And I think the kind of personality I have, it helps me turn the page. This game is really humbling. This game really has some tough moments, just like life. But then you have to learn that you have to always move forward. It's not about falling. It's about what you do when you get up. And then pitching, you wake up the next day and then that you have to follow your routine to prepare for the next game. You make a bad pitch, now I have an opportunity here to make this very next pitch. It's all about taking it one pitch at a time. So obviously there's some moments where my emotions, they take charge and I lose sight of, being in the moment, staying true to myself. But for the most part, I've really tried to limit those moments and then just staying true to myself of just being in the moment, compose myself and, forget what happened. And I have to focus on the opportunity I have right now in this moment.
Very well said. More questions from our fans here on Inside Twins. Anthony, oh boy, this is multiple choice for you. What comes first for you now that you're a Minnesotan? Ice fishing or snowmobiling?
Is ice fishing as true as you see it in TV shows or movies? Just
you're
sitting with a hole.
Yep.
Okay, those are my two options. I'm gonna go with the other one, snowmobile. Sounds a little more entertaining.
You check in with Hot Rod McCormick or Caleb Thielbar. They can take care of you on the ice fishing front. They can describe it, but I'm with you. You wanna keep on the move. More questions coming. Oh, best competition on the pickleball court. Are you a pickleball whiz?
Huge pickleball guy. I always joke with everyone saying that baseball off season is my pickleball season. So I love pickleball. I am a huge fan of tennis, but to play tennis, you have to be really good, really skillful, really athletic. Pickleball, you still have to be athletic, but it's not as demanding. The court's a lot smaller, and it's just such a fun time. in fact, when I reached out to the Twins community, I told the head community, person in the Twins, I'm like, I'm also a huge pickleball guy. So whatever pickleball event, community thing you can find in Minnesota, you do not have to ask anyone else but me.
Have you found out if any of your teammates share your enthusiasm?
Actually, no. But I did give one of them a ride the other day, and I showed them I have my paddles with me in my car. I have the pickleballs. I have everything.
Well, I can let you know, Pablo, there are a ton of pickleball courts, facilities, groups here in the Twin Cities. So not on game day, but we'll hook you up with all the pickleball that you need over the course of your time in Twins territory. Thank you for your time today, Pablo. I know you came straight off the diamond. You're going out to help the good people of Fort Myers. We are so pleased to have you as part of Twins territory, and we look forward to a great camp and on into a great 2023 season and many more conversations. Pablo López, kind enough to join us, an outstanding conversation with one of the newest members of the Minnesota Twins, joining us here on Inside Twins. That'll do it for our full off-season of Inside Twins. It's been brought to you all off-season by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated, how memories are created and legends are made. We've made some memories over the course of the off-season. Now look forward to making some memories with the Minnesota Twins 2023 campaign. Grapefruit League action hitting the airwaves on Saturday, and we'll see you then from Southwest Florida right here on your home for Twins baseball.